I read this book that I may study the nature of my deity. Thank you, Cleveland, and good night.
That's how he ended all press conferences.
So let's stay in Sarasota for just a second here. Now, as we already know, Bush was reading the book in Sarasota, Florida. Perhaps not coincidentally, Sarasota was the summer home of what? The Ringling Brothers Circus.
Oh.
And had been since 1919. It had been settled by 7 Ringling Brothers who, once again, perhaps not coincidentally, all Freemasons.
Fucking smoking gun. Also, you're going to remember, so the thing that Stephen King Bang likes to do is describe the terrorists going into the towers as the flying circus of death. That's what he calls it in terms of like the pageantry involved, blah, blah, blah.
He has fun.
So this is him saying that in 1968, the Ringling Brothers opened the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College in Sarasota, where Bush was reading the story, where CIA recruits were reportedly sent to learn sleight of hand. Interesting. So, direct quote for the most dangerous book in the world.
Through inverted speech, illogical actions, mimicry of spirits and animals, and ludicrous acrobatic stunts, clowns perform functions attributed to tricksters such as Hermes and Satan in mythology, blurring boundaries, toying with social and sexual rules, and mixing the obscene with the sacred.
They should have done some loop-de-loops then or something. Made it a little bit more exciting of an event.
Well, the problem is that what nobody knows is that actually they said there was only 15 hijackers over 4 planes, blah, blah, blah. But actually there was over 90 hijackers in 4 planes. But the idea is that they were all just as clowns and they could really pack in there. So those doors of those planes could have just opened. Those terrorists would have just come spilling out.
Yeah. Man, it's more terrifying than I could ever imagine, the idea that clowns did it.
Now, Sarasota is also known as Terrorland, as is described by controversial author Daniel Hopsicker. Now, in Terrorland, that is where CIA agents actually, allegedly, trained the 9/11 hijackers. Sarasota is only 2 hours away from the Everglades, where another secret training facility is located. Could it possibly be, Benjamin, that Terrorland is affiliated with the Hand of Death?
I'm going to say yes just to move on. Yes, it must be. There's no way that it's not. It's got to be.
Henry, they're saying, Henry, that they said that we could go up in the plane ourselves. They said that we just get a knife and we could stab the flight attendants and then fly the plane to the World Trade Center. What do you think about that, Henry?
Well, can I rape my retarded cousin in that plane?
Well, you never know. There's a lot of room in there.
Yeah, that's what nobody really knows, is that 9/11 was actually supposed to happen September 11th, 1983, but they put Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole in charge of it, and the whole thing just fell apart.
Oh, isn't that facts? Look at that.
Another solid last podcast on the left fact. Take that to your history teacher. I will say that to you. I'm going to say that today on class. If you can listen to this while you're in any form of class, tell your teacher that it should have happened in 1983, piloted by Henry Lee Lucas, and say that is truth. And then watch how fast you get kicked out of class and know that for a fact that they are a part of the fucking system, man.
Yeah, because that's definitely true. If you ever get any sort of pushback whatsoever for your conspiracy theories, that means that you're telling the truth.
And there's a war on Christians. So
let's go now to the number 77, Flight 77. Now, besides the fact that Flight 77 struck the Pentagon, which sits on the 77th meridian, is 77 feet tall, and has 7 floors, 77 brings us right back to Aleister Crowley.
Uh-oh.
Now, Crowley's book 77, originally entitled The Book of the Goat, holds the most important phrase in thelemic thought, and thelema, of course, was Crowley's, what would you call it, system of magic? Would that be the right term for it, Henry?
That was his religion.
Yeah, his religion, yeah.
Okay.
And this... What is in Book 77 is what could be considered to be the general attitude of those who perpetrated the entire mega ritual
do what thou wilt is the whole of the law.
Of course. So, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law.
Okay.
In Thelemic thought, that means you can do whatever you want. Damn any consequence, any sort of ripples that it might have outside of yourself. All that matters is you and what you want.
All right.
So, it's pretty much that these people who do all this stuff, they don't care that they killed 2,997 people, or is it 96? They don't care that they killed that many people. They don't care about the consequences of it killing 1.5 million Iraqis afterwards. And you see the shape of the pentagram, of course, forms the center of a pentagram. Long and important occult symbol. So the crashing of 77, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law, into the Pentagon, a symbol used to summon demons or even the devil himself, could be seen as a lock and key to open the gates of hell itself.
All right.
Yeah, and did it do it, dog meat?
You better fucking bet. You better bet all your dog treats that it did.
Wow, dog meat's bet. Cool, dog meat. You're the best.
So now let's get to Flight 93. Now, the number 93 is very important in Crowley's Thelemic order. Now, once again, the phrase, do as thou wilt is the whole of the law, comes back, as well as the phrase, love is the law, love under will. The two keywords here are will and love.
That's a part of where you're going to see, Leah, we need to do a whole episode about Thelema and all that stuff, but there is definitely, this is Stephen King Baines twisting the concept of do as thou wilt is the whole of the law, because love is a law, love under will. It's supposed to then reverberate back with the idea is that you're supposed to do everything with the guise of love, and then it's all about one big organism and treat people as you would treat yourself. It's not treat people, it's not treat people as you treat yourself, it's treat people as they would treat you. It's this whole thing where it's actually can be sort of nice. It can be nice. So I'm going to put that in there as well.
So I should give everybody 3 bagels a day. Is that right? And a half pound of low-fat scallion cream cheese because I'm on a diet.
Well, the Thelemic philosophy, it's like a lot of these. It's a very optimistic philosophy because if you treat everyone how they would treat you, if we all follow this, then we will all treat each other fantastically.
So I should just go around.
Again, it's a lot about ass sex.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ass sex.
Yeah.
That utopia is all power bottoming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother's a power bottom. He taught me all about it over some margaritas a couple of Christmases ago. Yep.
Merry Christmas. It's just another Kissel Christmas.
Just another Kissel Christmas. Can't forget it.
Put a towel down. It's almost Christmas time at Kissel's house.
Yep. Time to get your power bottom on.
So the words will and love in Greek are thelema and agape. Now, the numerical value of these numbers, if we use the Greek practice of isopsethi, adds up to 93. 93 is also the standard greeting of Crowleyites, making the crashing of 93 a big hey, how are ya to all the followers of Thelema out there.
Hey, everybody, hey.
How are you?
Hey, is everybody having a good time? Hey, why is everybody screaming? Why is everybody yelling? I'm just trying to say hey.
Hey, how are you? Huh, Marcus? That's the term?
Yeah. Hey, how are you? Hey, this is a gigantic crowd.
It was a big old hey, how are you? Hey, how you doing?
It kind of was.
Right.
A lot of this stuff was a gigantic greeting to all the Crowleyites to say, this is a gigantic Crowleyan ritual. This is our moment. Enjoy.
I remember that when W was talking on top of the rubble, and he was like, hey, how are you?
Well, he did.
How's everybody doing tonight? How's everybody doing tonight? Is everybody feeling good? Is everybody having drinks? Tip your bartender, right? I'll be here for the next 8 years now. Thanks, 9/11.
Well, that's true.
So, in addition to all of that, remember United 93 crashed down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Remember that it crashed down there. The name of the field director of the FBI that had jurisdiction over the area where United 93 crashed?
The world's laziest man.
Bill Crowley.
Yeah, dude. It is Aleister Crowley's lame cousin from Delaware.
Absolutely. I didn't
Aleister, me and your aunt were talking, and it just feels like, maybe you could settle down and get like a job or something. I got to open it over at the accounting firm, Just like, but how will I release AOS throughout the use of my shit-covered desert fuck? It's just me and your aunt up. we're still talking about it, even though you answered that way. We're still talking about letting you into the accounting firm.
What a job this guy has. He's FBI director in charge of the fields in Shanksville?
No. Pittsburgh. He was out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but the field was in his jurisdiction.
I see.
Yeah, they didn't just have him. There isn't FBI directors for fields.
Hey, man, nepotism. I have no idea. They're putting stupid people everywhere.
You know, of all the fields in America, why does it have to happen to my favorite field?
Oh, my God.
Also, what's really interesting that Stephen King Bain points out is that Shanksville is also what you could have been called because the terrorists attacked the flight attendants and pilots with shivs, shanks, or the box cutters, shanks in prison term, as he said. That he could have said, he literally said in the book that you could view that the inside of the planes was sort of like Shanksville because of how many times people were getting shanked in there.
So that was a joke? That's a joke. I think that was him making a funny little line.
Well, it's not Stephen King Bain's joke. He said that a key component of the occultist is dark humor.
Yes,
because he's saying like, they must think that is so hilarious, don't they?
Oh, I see. So they're kind of being punny with it too. It's a hey, how are you? And then they followed it up with a good pun.
You know what is really interesting too, but it's the way he paints the Illuminati. This is how I imagine it. It's a lot of like hearty, evil chuckling while you're sitting like drinking snifters of sherry, like in a weird old British house, going like, "Would you even believe that there was a town even called Shanksville? When we saw it on the map, we're like, this is it. This is fucking good."
So now let's talk about Korean Airlines Flight 85. Now you might be asking, what the fuck is Korean Airlines Flight 85? What does that have to do with anything?
Can I ask that? What the fuck with Korean Flight 85? What does that have to do with anything?
No, Flight 85 was one of the flights in the air on the way to New York City when the planes hit. It was directed to land at White Horse International Airport in the Yukon. This is where one Mr. Ozzy Osbourne comes into play.
Whoa.
Sharon, where are my pills? Little Sharon, where are my... They said they were supposed to be about 9/11. That's
Crowley. Mr. Crowley! The only thing that works on him anymore is his voice. But do you remember, because the idea is that weren't they supposed to do the thing, like Flight 85 was supposed to ping the code for being hijacked, correct? Yeah. It went out there, it was pinging the code for being hijacked. It did not know why. It got directed to do it, and it was sent up to the Yukon, where it was just supposed to sit there saying that it was being hijacked up in the middle of Canada, like some sort of weird distraction.
Yeah, the really weird stuff. But was it a weird distraction, or was it one more Crowleyan reference? Now, follow me here. And all of this, by the way, this is this is all actually true. This is a true coincidence. It's very odd. Now, Ozzy, of course, formerly of the band Black Sabbath, in his 1980 hit, Mr. Crowley, sang, "Mr. Crowley, won't you ride my white horse?" White Horse International Airport. Now, what was the name of the air traffic controller working at White Horse International Airport on September 11th, 2001?
What
was it, Ben? What was the name, Ben?
What was the name, Ben?
Sharon Osbourne.
Tim Crowley.
And it's just one of those things where if you have smoked an entire joint while listening to this show, it really does get to a point, because the more I read about it, when I was reading it, because I was like, I was like, I need to get into the mind space for this. I fucking rolled a huge joint and just sat and smoked it and read this book on my fucking roof. And I was like, every time I was just like, damn, man. Every time Crowley popped up, I was like, man, fucking Crowley's at it again, man.
That's very true. And you know, Howard Stern, the lawyer who killed Anna Nicole Smith, I think Sharon Osbourne is slowly killing Ozzy Osbourne. I just want to make that clear. I want to throw it out there. She's drugging him.
If she's slowly killing Ozzy Osbourne, it's been a fucking long-ass process.
Well, he refuses.
Dude, they've been married
to die.
They've been married since like 1982.
Yeah. Very controversial.
You can't trust anybody.
No, you can't.
Now, in thanks and tribute to Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy was allowed, along with Sharon, to attend the 2002 White House Correspondents' Dinner. The first one after 2001, hosted by Drew Carey, by the way.
Oh.
Also presided over by George W. Bush. And if you don't know what the White House Correspondents' Dinner is, it's pretty much a big roast
Of course. And you know what? Drew Carey, where is he from? Cleveland.
And
We've had a lot of references to Cleveland.
we have?
Yeah, there's been 5 references to Cleveland.
There have been?
Are you guys even listening to yourselves talk?
There haven't been any references to Cleveland.
I think you've been conditioned that every single time the words 9/11 are said, you just hear the word Cleveland.
I swear to God.
It's just like, and now bow our heads in the name of the victims of Cleveland.
Well, that is true.
Cleveland.
Now, of course, everyone gets in on the roasting fun on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Even George W. Bush, who, by the way, not bad as far as delivery goes.
If the presidents were only judged by the Correspondents' Dinner, he'd be the best president ever.
He really would be.
No, Obama kind of crushes it. Obama's particularly very good at it because, I mean, you know, I think that one of his, like, lizard dudes that are controlling him from up top, like, near Sirius, also was one of the guys who did George Carlin.
Oh,
So
I see.
it's just like he's just really good. He's like, I've got the timing down. I'm making this nefarious puppet of ours quite charming and hilarious.
Now, let's hear George W. Bush's joke about Ozzy Osbourne. And by the way, Ozzy was the very first person that George W. Bush made a joke about during the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Thing about Ozzy is he's made a lot of big hit recordings. Party with the Animals, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Facing Hell, Black Skies, and Bloodbath in Paradise.
Jesus Christ.
Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
And then Ozzy starts kissing at George W. Bush. He starts kissing him.
Right.
He starts doing the worship sign. We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Mm-hmm. And then he bites the head off a bat and he drains the blood into Dick Cheney's mouth.
They didn't show that on C-SPAN.
Yeah, no, it's C-SPAN. They can't. They gotta
No,
turn
that was
away.
in the green room.
Right.
So Korean Airlines Flight 85 also relates to something called the opening of the mouth ceremony, which involves the number 85, the Hebrew word peh, and mummies, but that one's just a little bit too complicated.
Okay.
So we're not going to
Yeah, it's about the idea of, like, they would sit around with the mummy and, like, literally open its mouth back and forth and be like, don't you see I'm alive, I'm alive. And then the other guy was like, seriously, fucking creep, you're fucking really creeping me out when you do this shit with the mummy mouth, bro. You know what I mean? You need to creep it out, man. You're creeping me out. And he's just like, dude, you can't even be mad about it because if we make the mummy come to life and for real, dude, that would be super fucking creepy. And he's just like, I know, but I can't handle it. I can't keep my shit straight. When you're like, he's like, I'm a nerve. These Egyptians.
Yep. You bring a mummy to life, Brendan Fraser's got to go kill it. So if you want to hang out with him, that's the question.
Although, about the word peh that I just mentioned,
Peh.
we will
Peh.
peh. P-E-H. Peh.
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 We could do this all day.
We will say that the word peh is connected by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which Aleister Crowley co-founded. They connect it to the Tower tarot card, which symbolizes the destruction of old structures and is also variously referred to as the Devil's House, the House of the Damned, Inferno, or simply Hell.
Ooh.
And another aside concerning the tarot, the famous falling man photo, of course, we've all seen it.
Right.
You know, the guy that's kind of got his one leg straight down, one leg a little bent, is eerily similar to the Hanged Man tarot card, which can represent giving in to destiny and surrendering control to outside forces.
Now, this is all good ways to really harass people at a crystal store. If you want to really the only way to get thrown out of a crystal store is to go in and start on this talk about 9/11 as connected to the tarot deck.
Yeah. And even then, they just politely ask you to go. But they do it with such heart and tears in their eyes that you have to leave.
Yeah, there's one
They
over.
got a piece of hematite, and they're just like, all right, now, if you could just, the force is away with you. Force is away with you.
There's nothing like making a mystic sad. It really breaks your heart.
Interestingly enough, the man pictured in the falling man photo was the brother of the sailor in The Village People, who received their Hollywood Walk of Fame star on September 12th, 2008, 7 years to the day after the falling man photo first appeared in newspapers.
Okay, so that's. I would say of all the stuff we've said, that's the most dubious. Version.
Dubious?
That's the most dubious fact.
Dubious. It's like 6 degrees of Baphomet.
So now let's talk about, finally, the symbology of 9/11. Now, Henry, of course, really pushed it on the first and second episodes, the brand of 9/11. You say 9/11, immediately it conjures up feelings, it conjures up thoughts, it conjures up memories. The brand of 9/11 itself has become synonymous with terror. But for the 30 years prior to 9/11, here in America, 911 had been the universal code for help is on the way. Call 911. Right. We have something bad happen. Call 911. Someone's going to come to save us. Or at least there is the illusion of someone coming to save us. Now, the sudden reversal of meaning, which is a tactic that occultists often use, was designed to create an additional level of fear in the hearts and minds of the American public. Because you see now, the numbers 911 no longer mean help in our minds. It now means helplessness.
Right. It's a heel face turn that they have to pull off in WWE, and the greatest heel to face turn ever, SummerSlam, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. When Stone Cold refused to tap out, he just bled from his forehead and passed out. So,
I loved it.
So this is really what they did, and it was a perfect switch.
Yeah.
Yes, 9/11 is just like the wife beater Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He's not a wife beater, Henry.
He is a wife beater.
Where did you hear that, sir? Where did you hear that?
Type in Stone Cold Steve Austin wife beater.
Oh, you can type in anything.
Austin wife beater. Yeah, actually, yeah, okay. Yeah, Henry, I'm going to go ahead and put in Stone Cold Steve Austin wife beater. Just wait a second.
Oh, no! Oh, it doesn't look like it, Henry, does it? The Stone Cold said so. Thank God. Would a man who comes out to music like that beat his wife?
Yes.
Oh.
Would the Texas rattlesnake beat his wife?
Yes. Especially somebody called the Texas Rattlesnake.
All right, well, let's...
Especially beats his wife.
Okay, we don't need to defame Mr. Stone Cold.
So Aleister Crowley, he considered the number 9 to be the most evil number that there is. It means the earth under evil influences. Now, combined with the number 11, which we mentioned earlier, that Crowley considered the most powerful number in magic with a K, itself, 9/11 could be seen to mean the most evil and powerful magic that there is. So every time we say or hear the phrase 9/11, we are unwittingly participating in the gigantic occult mega ritual, repeating the phrase evil magic in numerological form over and over again, continuing to feed the power of the mega ritual released on that day.
And that's why I took 9/11 and I made it Cleveland.
Yes, I think it's really important. So every time you want to say 9/11 from now on, choose a different name.
Right.
We can call it the Cleveland Incident. I think that's a good one. Another thing to maybe say is something along the lines of, every time you want to say 9/11, say strawberry cheesecake.
Right.
Fill it with good.
Yeah.
Fill it with something special.
Yeah.
All right, so the most dangerous book in the world. It's not that long, but let's just say it's a bit dense. There's a lot of different things to talk about in the most dangerous book in the world. There's a lot of connections, and here is a short list, actually a fairly long list, of connections that I refuse to explain.
I really tried to get through this book. I really tried.
I got through it.
I read a bunch of it. I was making a bunch of notes. I was doing a bunch of stuff. And then as soon as it got to, I'll show you where I blanked out.
All right. Well, and I will say, after you get about 16 chapters in, every time you go to the next chapter, I let out an audible sigh.
Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely like...
All right. Okay. All right, let's get into this. All right, so let's go through a list. Building 7 was a Euclidean Freemasonic symbol of 47 floors, also Anton LaVey trapezoids.
The insane astrological connections, they are insane.
They are insane, but they are also very compelling, which I would recommend reading the book just for that alone. Sirius the Dog Star, and the dog named Sirius that was killed on the day.
I have a poem written about Sirius, but the dog, and because it's all connection about how there's a long thing about how like Sirius is really the star that is the worshipful demon star, which is also possibly the reptilian home for the people that had started the Illuminati that helped the whole mega ritual even begin. I can't physically read it anymore. I can't do it anymore.
The towers of sacrificial mega altars.
The Statue of Liberty is the devil witness, which is true because it's based off of a statue, an ancient statue of Lucifer as the light bringer with light, a halo of light around its head, holding a lamp torch, a torch of honesty and clarity. So that's a part of it. That bitch is watching the fucking 9/11 happen. And did the Statue of Liberty come to life like in Ghostbusters 2 and do anything about it?
Nope.
No, it did not.
Didn't even kill a marshmallow person.
Also, the guy that designed the Statue of Liberty, Freemason.
All right.
All of Lower Manhattan is a gigantic ritual occult ceremonial center, complete with an unfinished pyramid, a stepped pyramid, a square pyramid, and a dome.
The Millennium Hotel in Lower Manhattan is an homage to the monolith of 2001, A Space Odyssey, which was based on an earlier story Arthur C. Clarke wrote called The Monolith, in which the monolith